decided that today, for vlog number 5, I'm going to do something a little bit special. I'm going to go back through old archive footage of jumps I did back in the beginning of my career. This is going to be footage, raw footage, from the Eiffel Tower jump, where I jumped through the center with my friend Omer Madan. I never actually looked at any of this footage. At the time, I saw the jump footage, but never saw any of the B-roll or the background or any of that because it was all shot in PAL, so I had no way of seeing it at the time. Obviously, all my equipment worked in NTSC, and our camera crew were all from Israel, and it was all basically, there's all this. Back in the day, it was a real pain to work with different countries because you just couldn't look at footage. But now, with modern technology, and the vlog has given me this kind of new platform, I decided, hey, let's revisit that footage and see what it looks like. So today, which was actually quite exciting because I'd actually never seen it. And so now all of a sudden I'm going back through all this old footage, reliving all these old feelings and emotions, and it's actually really quite interesting for me. I seeing myself, you know, from 17 years ago, it's very interesting to watch myself talk and see myself being interviewed and see how I was interacting. And one thing I kind of noticed is I was a total dork. I mean, I still am, but man, was I a dork. But in any event, I'm going to go through the footage with you. I want to talk to you about it, and I just want to show you some of the clips that just have never been seen before. No one's ever seen this. Today was the first time I saw it. So let's go through it and see what we've got. So it kind of begins with me looking at the Eiffel Tower, and this was kind of B-roll that was being taken in order to try to tell the story of, you know, what we were doing there. So in the beginning, it's just kind of B-roll footage, and then what it's going to get into, it's going to get into me doing a description, talking about what the actual jump is. So yeah, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be leaving from the second platform, which is approximately 320 feet, because we're leaving from the bottom of it, okay?
That's about what you see right now.
Yeah, it's that part that you see right there. As we leave from there, we're going to be passing through the first level, which is approximately 180 feet, okay? So we're going to want to deploy.
We're traveling about 120 feet.
Yeah, traveling about 120 feet before deployment. We have to make sure that we don't deploy in between there, because if we do, that's going to cause us some difficulty. We might hit the structure itself. So we have to make sure that we drop at least to the 180 foot point before deployment. We also don't want to take too long, because if we drop too low, we won't have enough space for opening.
So we're going to have approximately 6 seconds of canopy time.
Approximately,
after deployment.
Yeah, after deployment we should have anywhere between 6 to 10 seconds. Hopefully, you know, 6 would be better than 10, because we don't want to be in the air for too long. We want to be as close to the ground as possible during deployment. What makes this jump extremely complicated is the fact that the second platform that we're leaving from is at 320 feet. Now, the first platform is located about 180 feet. If we open too high, meaning we just jump off and open, we run the risk of hitting the first platform because it has a very narrow opening. So what we need to do is we need to jump from the 320 foot mark and not start deploying until we're passing the second level, which is at 180 feet. Meaning we're going to have a very low altitude opening, very low opening. We have a very small window of opportunity to throw out our pilot chute and open our rig. Basically between 200 feet and 160 feet is where we're going to need to be deploying in order to avoid hitting the first level and to avoid hitting the ground, you know, if we take too long. So that's basically what makes this jump so complex, is the fact that we have a very small window of opportunity to deploy our parachute. Okay, so now it's basically footage of us gearing up and getting ready to climb over the railing, climb down into position. What's kind of funny, and I had forgotten that this even happened, is there's a family, like of small children, who basically bump into us as we're getting ready. And there they are. It's a little girl and a little boy. And with the Bob, they're like kind of talking, and they're like, what's going on? It's very interesting. But at this point, it's kind of funny because I remember being super, super terrified. At this moment, like getting the gear on and realizing that I'm about to climb over railing and start going into a position to do one of the most technically demanding base jumps of my entire life was it was overwhelming, honestly. I was super petrified. And I remember, like, just kind of, it's very overwhelming when you're doing something like this, because I've been dreaming about it for many, many years. Like, it was 2 years that basically 2 years before this, I had been going on a trip with a guy named Francois to base jump off Angel Falls. And pretty much what happened is, on my trip through France, he took me to the Eiffel Tower and showed me where this location was. And at that moment, I was like, wow, that would actually be an amazing base jump to do. And at that point, no one had ever done it before. So I thought, wow, this would be spectacular. So to actually be on location after that much time, I mean, I trained for this for years, jumping off bridges, doing double reverse flips from 320 feet, preparing for this. This is why I was doing all those low altitude acrobatics, were to get ready for this particular jump. So it was an interesting thing to work so long and so hard towards one specific goal and finally be realizing it. Finally, it's happening. Our biggest concern was obviously being stopped by security before we were able to get into this position. But the second we stepped over that railing, we knew that there was no way security could get to us anymore. There was literally zero chance for anyone to be able to stop us. So once we got into this position where we are now, which was climbing through the steel and getting into this, that's when you know for a fact, okay, this is happening, nothing's stopping this, we're going. And it's kind of an overwhelming sensation. There's only been 2 times in my life where I've been so scared that I was shaking. That's going like this to like I was wearing sunglasses and I was so like stressed that I was sweating so much that the heat was actually fogging my glasses up, so I was trying to like clear them. That's pretty funny. But anyway, so there's only been a couple times in my life where I've been so scared that I started shaking uncontrollably. And I always thought it was very interesting that you can't see me shaking. Because I was looking at the footage and like trying to see it, but I remember my legs were vibrating, my body, I was just shaking so uncontrollably. And I remember mentally, I kept telling myself, stop shaking, stop shaking, this isn't helping, calm down, relax. And it's really interesting because it's an incredibly difficult thing to do. It's really hard to calm down and relax when you're doing something like this. No matter how much you're telling your body, stop, you just calm, relax. I just remember I was so terrified, so scared. This was one of the scariest jumps of my life. I mean, I had trained really hard to do it, but it just had that little 1.5 second window to deploy properly. I was terrified. I remember just being so scared. It's funny looking back on it after 17 years, though. It really is. I think we're getting ready to go, though. So right now I'm just talking with Omer. We're communicating with our guys. We have one dude on the first platform. We have another person. We're walking communication. We're giving a countdown. We're giving 10 seconds. We're giving the whole thing to get it all ready to go. And there I am. You can see my balance is a little bit off. I'm standing in a really precarious spot. And here I go. Yeah, it's still, to this day, it was such a special experience. It's interesting to like have a dream and work so hard to make it become a reality and fight through so much fear and so much doubt and so much everything. I really do think that this was a defining moment for me in my life. It was a very special experience. Man, it's really interesting to watch again. This is my friend Omer. So I jumped first, he filmed, and he jumped second. I actually kind of like his footage a bit better because he gets to get the actual helmet cam shot going through the first platform. It's really special footage. To this day, I still haven't seen anything that I think is quite as nice as watching his exit as he falls through, which I believe is coming right now. This is an awesome shot. I love this shot. Huh. That's so cool. So, at this point, I think you see me. He flies by me. I'm right over there to the left lower corner. And I've already been, you can see me back there. I've already been captured by security. Security's already there. There's a woman who's security for the Eiffel Tower. She's already talking to me. She's already informing me I'm not supposed to run. I remember just giving her a big hug and saying, I'm just so happy I was just so happy to not be hurt. I remember being just so ecstatic that I wasn't injured, and I'm like, I'm alive, I'm alive. So I'm there talking to her. Omer can see that I'm talking to her. Euron, our cameraman, is walking over to him, grabs the camera, and then starts walking away with it to make sure that we get to keep all the footage. Back to the hotel where all of our cameramen are and all of our stuff is, and it's our first time speaking to them after being released. And it was funny watching this because I had forgotten all of this. So let's take a look.
Hey guys.
Let's speak! Let's speak!
Where are your shoes?
Oh, they confiscated our shoots.
This week got our walkies.
Yeah, they even took my helmet. They took my helmet and my elbow pads.
Your,
They didn't want to
knee
give us, they didn't want to give us our knee pads back.
Yeah. They didn't want. They basically wanted to take everything.
But we're alive.
Euron, I must give you a hug.
Wow. It's amazing to see that after all these years. It really is. I'm really happy I took risks in my life. I'm really happy I did, because they brought me to a really special place, and where I am now, I could never have gotten here without doing all of these things. I have a tendency to talk about base jumping in kind of a negative way and kind of a dark way, just because I really like to make sure that people understand what they're getting themselves into if they decide to do a sport like this. But I have to be super honest. Base jumping has had a profound impact on my life in many, many ways. And I genuinely believe that it saved my life at an early period where I was suffering from serious depression and serious darkness, and I didn't know who I was or what my purpose was. And base jumping helped me find myself, and it helped me channel a lot of very dark energy into something that was positive. And I don't know, man, I just can't say thank you enough. I mean, it's hard to thank an activity, but in all honesty, base jumping saved my life, and I'm here because of it. I don't know what else to say.